And then those points, you're going to be able to change it for products. Adidas is going to give you the tennis shoes for free because you're helping the people. Or the ticket from Aeromexico is going to be for free. And for me, that's the future of the citizen participation. Gamification. Let's play. Because otherwise, if we're going to continue just to give like messages like, the global warming, use the bank, they don't care. So I don't feel that's the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Arturo, thank you for making us laugh. And I never thought I would share a stage with Jesus Christ, but there's a first time for everything. So Arturo, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Arturo brings up a good point about citizen participation, how people themselves participate in the system. And in our chats before the panel, we were talking a lot about education as the key that people need in order to increase their own participation and understanding how to participate. And so from Puebla, I'm happy to introduce someone who's specifically working on education in the future of democracy. He's the founder of BRAINC and the Vice President Cluster of Technology and Business Services from here in Puebla. Please welcome Nicolás Arioja. Welcome, Nicolás.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Welcome to my country and welcome to my city. I am really happy to be here with you. My name is Nicolás Arioja. When we hear about artificial intelligence, we find artificial intelligence everywhere. We find it in Netflix, Amazon, of course in Facebook, everywhere. But there are places where artificial intelligence is not shown directly. And we need to be aware of those places because many people, many organizations, and many governments are using that kind of technology to actually know about us and to direct us to something that maybe we don't want. So the best option that we can do is to have some kind of education, to know what is really about artificial intelligence. How can we recognize when they try to motivate us to believe in something? And that is really, really important. I think that the keys to democracy in the future will be, first, people. People is essential to democracy. After that, we need to have some knowledge, we need to have some education, because education will allow us to choose wisely between different stages, between different options. In that way, we will not only follow what is shown to us in the internet or in the media, we will be able to choose wisely, and that is really, really important. The last thing is responsibility, because sometimes as a civilization, we like to send the responsibility of our choices to someone else or to something else. And artificial intelligence has this characteristic, it's like an scapegoat of the modern era, where we can say, oh, it's the fault of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is evil. But that's not true. Artificial intelligence is just a tool. And the responsibility of using artificial intelligence for good or for evil lies in us. And that is really, really important. And we need to recognize this. Because in that way, we will be able to protect democracy and to protect the new generations. Along with artificial intelligence, we are facing other problems with democracy. One of these problems is the lack of culture. And it will sound really strange. Why? Because actually we have a problem that saddens me a lot, is that the new generations have a lower IQ than the previous generations. And that's a real, real problem. Because some governments and also some companies, some institutions, organizations, well, they try to lower the education standards all around the world. And as the education starts to lower in the world, also democracy starts to lower. So many governments that are populist, that are dictatorships, are using its power to create problems in education, to reduce the level of knowledge, the level of the education of their people, so they can continue in power. And in that way, they are mining and they are destroying democracy in the world. Also, the index of democracy in the world is lowering, and that is a big, big problem that we need to affront. So what can we do? We can use artificial intelligence for creating some kind of alternate world where everyone thinks that they know exactly what they will do, or we can use artificial intelligence to actually educate people, to use artificial intelligence to find fake news, to find deep fakes, to help us destroy all that hate speech, all that false information that is around the world. It's a great tool, but the tool could be used for good or could be used for bad. The responsibility is in us again, and that is really, really important. So that is why for me it's really, really important to teach the new generations about these technologies so they can really understand them and they can use it for the greater good. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicolas, thank you so much. Please have a seat. Nicolas, thank you for bringing also, just like Luisa did, the perspective of the future generation is just as important as us sitting in this crowd as Peter and the generations that come before them. Thank you for bringing that voice as well.
Thank you.
Luisa and Arturo, I have a question for the two of you. You both talked about how important it is to get people involved, the average person, to get the average person involved, and to make sure that this is not inclusive, but equal, that people equally participate. Every part of society participates. So, Luisa, when you were listening to Arturo talk about Jesus Christ in the metro, about making people laugh, how does this correspond to what you've seen in Brazil, getting people involved in politics? Do you think humor works in your context as well in Brazil?
Well, I wouldn't go as far as saying humor, because I think that it's really a cliche that we have, especially in the global south, like, all politicians are bad, there's really this kind of projection over politics.
Service.
Working with and for young people, I see that that's really a myth, for example, that young people don't want to get involved in politics. No, they are just tired of legacy politicians, and legacy politicians that are there and will continue to be there. So when I say that it's not inclusion, but it's meaningful leadership, it's exactly this point, is that for a young person to be governing, it means that someone who's an older generation, who's maybe governed several other things before, needs to step down. And I think that that's the hard part. Get people to really understand their privileges first, and then, of course, renounce them.
I make an experiment using the super city code, especially to try to do something with the young people. Surveys, okay, people in Mexico, and I believe in all the world, no one trusts in the surveys. Why? Because a lot of the time they pay for just to be the winner, So I went to the Zócalo, which is the main place in Mexico, and I put like the candidate, for example, the last election for president, I put like López Obrador, that he was the winner, and all the contenders. And I say, I using Facebook Live, I was like holding, how do you say, a board, and I put like all the names of the candidates, and the people could vote, but in Facebook Live. So you cannot cheat about that, no? So at the end, it was amazing because the result of that, at the end, was like almost the same than the voters had. So I think that those kind of technology using and doing things that with not humor, but it was. I was talking with the people and they were saying why, and it was a thing that I'm gonna use it for now for this election. And I believe that those kind of things they can make people just to see politics in a different way and more real.
And so I want to follow up with Eva. Eva, you have been at the forefront of creating digital strategies for government, digital technologies for government. Do you find that when governments are using these digital tools, that, like Dodo says, people find it easier than to participate? Do these tools actually make it easier for people to participate in governance, in your experience?
Yeah, so, obviously, was no. I mean, governments even know how to engineer base services and do them accessible, and that's actually they learned that for a long time as well. Because digital service is not about just taking the paper formally to the digital, it's like, I think so. Now it's like, as you engineer the team, you see the data you have, what you should have to make new changes in the institution, make the service as easy for the person. But the best thing is I don't even have to ask if I like it or something because it knows that it's given and support. So that's easy. I think now the majority of the world we know about that. That's good. That's easy. That's easy. But then that's good that practical tools to see like involving people in the actual decision making. It's really hard. I think for both sides because the people working in government they just are not being very interested in doing that first. We have KPIs to involve people, because people don't people with tools. They spend money on that, but it not be that. And people, I think nowadays the most precious and the most costly good to the society is the attention. We have so many things. We have to be like 100 places at once. So, and now I have to do one first thing to consult on some decision. It is not about like pedagogies in my own yard or something like this, which I think very personally, or like, oh, I don't care. So that's why I think that's important that these ideas or these tools come from the people and the organization working there. But for that, of course, for that you work on the other side. Governance has to listen.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Lucy.
So actually I work with, I don't know if I can say the government, so I think I'll say a Western European government, through the Open Government Partnership, and the question is exactly that, how to get people involved in politics through using technology. And really one thing that we realized after a lot of months of research was that the problem, and that summarizes what we heard, is that the governments want people to come to their platforms to then participate, but they don't want to go where the people are, because I, for example, I suggested, let's put a poll on Instagram. That's, participation. When I put a poll on Instagram, a lot of people answer, but they're like, oh no, that's too radical. So, there's this need to, change the mindset and kind of, be more free to take risks, I guess.
I think so, and both these interventions spark something in my head about technologies and the technologies that people are using from the grassroots level or the everyday level, starting to be used within government as well. Which brings me to the fact that I think 3 of you, or maybe even 4 of you, mentioned artificial intelligence in your addresses. So I want to bring up artificial intelligence, specifically with Puebla and Nicolas. Both of you said something that was a bit similar, which was, is AI going to replace fact checkers? No, it might be easier. It's a tool, but it won't replace a human. And just like Nicolas said, we need to educate the younger generation about artificial intelligence so that they can use it as a tool in the future too and understand what it means. So I'm curious, as ChatGPT takes over our consciousness and we all start writing cover letters with ChatGPT and typing in funny things, you must have heard a lot in the last 6 months from your friends, from colleagues about AI. How does it influence your work? Or can I start with you? Have you taken a look at how AI is going to be used? What are some of the misconceptions people bring to you about AI and fact checking and disinformation?
First of all, AI now is widely used to create things. They use, for example, I think all of you know about throat vectors, and now these throat vectors are used using artificial
Yeah.
education is the answer, which is a perfect transition to tell us a little bit more about what do you say when you're working with them, you show them their first exposure to AI, and are you warning them of the dangers, are you exciting them about the possibility? Do they care at all? Tell us what it's like educating the next generation about AI.
Well, they actually are very excited about artificial intelligence. They want to learn a lot about artificial intelligence because they are looking at it as a new way to create things. Most people in my country are really, really creative and they like this kind of stuff. But I also have found something really interesting. That people think that artificial intelligence is like a being with a mind of its own, but actually it's just a technology. So we need to teach them that it's just another computer program, of course a very complex computer program, but it's not something like a special being, like an alien from space that comes to teach us and is more smart than us. So that's one point that we need to make really, really clear. What is artificial intelligence? How can we use artificial intelligence and how it is developed? Once that they understand this, they can start using to solve even small problems. Because it's really important that they know that they can use artificial intelligence to solve everyday problems, even for example, what they are going to cook or something like that. It's really interesting, and they are creating many applications. For example, one of my students created an application using artificial intelligence to teach English. The application learns how the person is learning and adapts itself so it can be a better teacher for the language. So they are creating really interesting things. But it's really important that they understand what is artificial intelligence and how it works.
Well, let me tell you why I'm a bit upset right now. I'm upset because I'm optimistic. There's a group of people on the stage. We have somebody who's educating the next generation about AI and they're excited about it. There's somebody who's using humor to get people involved civically in solving the problems around them. There's somebody refreshingly realistic about government use of technology. Two people right in the middle of the stage, and how responsible leadership can be involved, and somebody fighting fake news. So I feel very optimistic. Why does this make me upset? Because any case I go to, any conference about the future of democracy, everybody's very pessimistic. Everybody says democracy is about to collapse. It's collapsing, it's going to fall, we're going to be all in authoritarian dictatorship soon. This is the future of democracy. So are we being too optimistic here? So I have a question for all five of you, starting with you, if that's okay, all right. How hopeful do you feel about the future of democracy in general?
I think just repeat the church's hope that democracy is the first way to govern, but it is at the same time the best. Because the whole better. So I just think that now we are experiencing a huge shift in our information and huge information revolution. So we should adjust to this huge changes. So I believe that it's positive because humankind adjusted to the industrial revolution and so on. So that's why I'm
Seems like you're optimistic. Okay, so we have an optimist first, and Luisa, how optimistic are you about the future of democracy?
Okay, so I think there's a lot of steps that we have to answer, I guess, before answering this question. Because, for example, when we say yes to that everything will collapse, for example, democracy is super tied to economy, you know? So we can talk about democracy, we don't talk about political economy, for example. And what we have seen is, you know, the extent to which the financial systems have really influenced our lives, government decisions, etc., and how this can also, you know, reflect in the society that a lot of already acquired rights through democracy are then taken away from us, right? I think the US is a huge example of that, with a lot of laws and bills regarding women's rights, right? So, yes, I think there is a hope
democracy? Are you feeling optimistic? Are you feeling pessimistic? How do you feel?
First of all, I think that democracy is something that quite many of us are taking for granted, as long as it's not challenged. And due to the war in Ukraine, of course, we've been quite closely, we feel that major, and we feel as well the impacts in the digital world. For example, with all these robots, profiles, generating lots of things, information, and hate speech, and lots of content on people as well. And we have grassroots organization, for example, I'm a member of one organization called the L5 in Warsaw Grace of Yorkshire, where we just report this content, these people, just and then people just get enough reports in their blog. So we can do something as ourselves, because usually people just doesn't listen to the number of solutions they have here, free speech policy and so on. But coming back to what can the government do, so it's not just anybody, I was speaking about the government should do something like this to be more people actually doing something like this in Ukraine. We have so-called government lab, which is aimed at making like government institutions and startups like cooperation, forum, work together with small experimental things that I think that is tremendously important to help institutions to start experimenting, because public institutions, they usually are in the very strict like limitations. So I think the biggest thing is not just technology things that they need to do on democracy as well, some like demos which can be then used, but as well helping the public sector to become more relaxed, more flexible, and more open to cooperation. So, you know, I'm optimistic my whole life in any kind of things I do. So I really believe in the future of technology and of democracy and of coordination, but I think it's hard work which we all have to do.
A lot of experiments needed here. Yes, thank you. Arturo, optimistic?
Just to be optimistic, you were talking, my point of view, I study communication, I'm a communicólogo, how do you say communicator? So I realize that we cannot be still using, at least in Mexico, the word democracy. Even if it's like, the meaning is amazing, the voice of the people, but all the parties in Mexico, they have that thing. It's Partido Democrático Revolucionario. Para democracy citizens, and they already use it for everywhere. And so, in my point of view, just to be optimistic, we have to change the way to call democracy. I don't know, in that way, I could be like optimistic.
When will you tell us the new way we refer to democracy?
I don't know. At least that I know that one is not the way.
You think about it next year, you let us know.
Okay, perfect.
Nicolas, you're working with the future generation. I hope you are optimistic about the future of democracy.
Well, I am a little optimistic, but I also worry a lot about the future of democracy, because I see that people doesn't engage actually in democracy, and that is something that we need to worry about. Especially now with all the social media and networks and all that kind of stuff. If you remember a few years ago, the bubble effect with Trump, that is actually a red light that we need to take into account, because people usually think that if someone is winning in the polls, there is no need for me to do something because he is going or she is going to win anyway. So people are losing their intentions to actually participate in democracy, and we need to restore that to save democracy in the world. So I worry, but I am optimistic. I think we can do it.
Optimistic or with a bit of worry?
Yes.
Okay, I understand. I think we've had a great discussion here today. There's two thoughts that I've taken away. I will remember all that you mentioning the role of the person in finding truth, that AI is not going to replace the need and all that. To be responsible consumers, think before we click share, and that in finding fake news, we will always need people to check this. Luisa, you brought this responsible management responsible leadership, element into the conversation, and also remind us that these things work. It's not about being optimistic or pessimistic, it's get your hands dirty, get your hands on the problem or it's going to crumble. So thank you as well. Eva, this concept of flexibility in the public sector, we need experimentation. That tech tools need to come from people in this audience. The government needs technology themselves, instead finding it in grassroots. Arturo, you continue to make us laugh, but you made us curious as well about a new term to refer to democracy. And you made us think about the next time you're on the metro, we know what seat not to take, otherwise you may come as Jesus Christ in special order. Nicolas, you bring the voice of the next generation, and we take your words seriously about the future of democracy. And also, just like Olga says, we have a responsibility as consumers to think about the information that we work with. So, Nicolas, thank you as well. I'd like to say a big thank you to all four of our participants today. Everybody can go to the next one, so I'm not sure where I have the mic to, but thank you very much for paying attention and for being here with us. It was very nice to have you. Thank you very much. It's a meta. You can all go meta to the stage.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everybody. It was a really inspiring and informative session. And I hope that the audience still has loads and loads of energy and motivation left, because we're heading to the most important part of the day, the winner's pitches. So if you're